Pilots are typically trained, which is a simulated cockpit. They will put the pilots in those cockpits, and then the pilots are supposed to react to different variables like wind speed, tail speed, the pressure, and all those kind of variables. They need to repeat multiple times. And that's how they master the skills required to fly the actual plane. In one experiment, scientists speed up every single variable by double. That means if the air pressure was supposed to fall from a certain point A to B in 10 seconds, they made it fall in 5 seconds. So they exposed them at double the speed. Every single error, every single change in variable at double the speed. But pilots who were under training, they didn't know. So the pilots' reflexes needed to catch up with those alarms. When they run these experiments multiple times, they found out that the pilots became better reacting at double the speed. When these pilots went on to fly the actual planes, they found something very interesting. The pilots who were trained this way became proficient much faster speed. And secondly, their performance was far better than the pilots who were trained traditionally. So that was a very powerful experiment, and that has been repeated many times. So the theory is this: that if you expose people to lots of failures at a very high speed, they will become proficient in that thing at a much faster rate. Let's say I put you in a training for 1 hour, and if I expose you to 10 case studies of different failures in your field, as opposed to 5, you're going to become proficient at a faster rate than the person who would be getting a traditional exposure. This also means able to pack lots of opportunities in a very compressed time. What it means is you fail now, I immediately expose you to another opportunity where you are likely to fail again. If I can create number of opportunities, one after the another, where your chances of failures are high, every failure will create a feedback loop. Every failure will create a reflection. Every failure cycle will give you retrospection. Scientists don't know what exactly happens, but what they have seen is when we pack these failure opportunity in a smaller time, people's performance become much faster. If they take 6 months to become good in something, they possibly can become good in same thing in 3 months. How many of you have heard this thing? Practice makes you perfect. Here's a problem with that. What you can practice on is a known repeatable task. That means that task must be happening very frequently. In today's world, how many times you get a predictable task again and again? You must be in a clerical job to have that kind of task. As an executive, as a leader, you don't get that task. Every task is different. So another theory that says don't practice on same task. Practice on variation of that task so that every single task is a new experiment. They have a theory that you need to spend 10,000 hours on one task. No, you need to do 10,000 experiments to become good. So every time you change a task, every time you vary its condition, every time you perform the task in a different setting, that becomes one experiment. How many you can do in a given time, that should be your goal. More experiment you can do, faster you're going to learn, better than your competitors. When I started my speaking journey, I went on to say yes to almost everything where I was likely to fail. TEDx was one of those. It would have been very bad if I failed it miserably. But the thing is, you need to expose yourself to the failure. The theory which say that let's give you the safe environment to learn, that no longer works. Get on there, experience the fire, but make sure that you don't practice on the same task again and again. It will slow you down. You are practicing on one particular task many times, but then you are not becoming good at different variations of that task. You are not proficient on every single aspect of that task. The key definition of proficiency is you can master that task in any situation. The firefighter can put out the fire in any situation, in any house, no matter what. You're gonna need to have lots of experiments in a compressed time frame. You're going to need to build that kind of opportunity for you where the chances of failing is a little bit higher. Okay.